Starting chapter 7 in the book of Daniel. Chapter 6, we saw Daniel in the lion's den. In the stream of history, we went from the Babylonians to the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians and what happened during that time. And now we're going to change. So everybody else had dreams, these kings, and Daniel was commenting on what other people were dreaming about. Now Daniel, for the rest of the book, from chapter 7 to 12, he's going to comment about his own dreams, verses 1 through 3 in chapter 7 of Daniel. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. We're going back in time now. So last chapter we were in the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians. In this chapter we're back into the time of the Babylonian kingdom, and Belshazzar, that would be King Nebuchadnezzar's grandson. And four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. We see a picture like this in the book of Revelation. So in Revelation chapter 7, let's just read the first three verses there. After these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. He cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and sea, saying, Hurt not the earth and the sea, neither the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads. So here, the wind's not allowed to blow in another great empire until the servants of God is sealed, till those 144,000 Jews become Christians. And in here, we see that the four winds are blowing the great sea, and the empires are coming out from there. So here the empires, instead of describing as parts of the statue, like we saw in Daniel chapter 2, we see these four great beasts that are going to be described as animals. These four great empires are going to be described as beasts or animals. Daniel 7 verse 4, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and was made to stand upon the feet as a man. And man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised itself up on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. And the beast also had four heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So let's go to the chart, and we see Babylon was the head of gold. Here it's a lion. The Medes and the Persians in the statue that was silver, the breast and arms. Here it's a bear that's raised up on one side. Third kingdom, the third part of the statue was brass, and his thighs of brass. Here we've got a leopard with four wings. And then we saw the iron legs of Rome. Here it's a terrible beast with iron teeth. So in verse 4, we've got the description. So this lion had eagle's wings, and I beheld till the wings thereof was plucked off. So King Nebuchadnezzar lost his mind for 7 years, and he had hair like eagle's wings. And so finally at the end of the 7 years, his wings are plucked off. He got a haircut, and he was lifted up from the earth. So he was on all fours eating grass for 7 years, but now he's given his right mind, his reason returned to him. He's made to stand upon his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So he was done with that 7 years where he thought he was all that, and then at the end of that, he realized that God was in charge. So this is a description of what happened to King Nebuchadnezzar during those 7 years when he lost his mind. So this second one is raised up on one side. So the Medes and the Persians came into power, and the Persian side, although the Mede side came up first and destroyed Babylon, the Persians actually became the stronger part of that kingdom. So the three ribs in its mouth, I would think this rib. So when Adam, like Adam's rib, this was bone his bone and flesh his flesh. So there are four other kingdoms in this Persian Empire that's going to arise. So the fourth one is the strongest one. So the three ribs in its mouth would be the three previous ones. There are many other theories about those. So another like a leopard. So this is the kingdom of Greece. The four wings on its back were the four generals of Alexander the Great's army. So they made the army move quickly, like none that had happened before. And the beast also had four heads, and dominion was given to it. So Alexander had control, and while he was in charge, these generals were seen as the four wings. When Alexander died, these generals that were in charge of the army as part of Alexander's army become heads, which means that they are now given dominion. So when Alexander's dominion ended, then these four took over and they all split it. We'll see later on where just the king of the north and the king of the south are mentioned. Those are the ones that are prominent in the book of Daniel. We're not really concerned about the two other kings. So that would be Ptolemy or Egypt in the south and Seleucia in the north, or Syria. So then we have the kingdom of Rome in that fourth one. And again, it talks about stomping things with its feet. We're concerned with the feet of it, and it had 10 horns. So before, when we saw the feet, there were 10 toes. Now we've got 10 horns. They're the same 10 nations that will come up in the latter part of the Roman Empire. So again, we have the past, everything from Rome on down here. That's actually backwards history, kind of goes that way. But that is all in the past. When we see these 10 kings here, that'll be part of a new Roman Empire. That will be a future time. That still has not happened. All of this happened by the time Jesus was born. So verses 8 through 10, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. So in verse 8, we've got the Antichrist. He's this little horn, and Daniel's going to describe this little horn a little bit more. And this little horn is going to take charge of the Roman Empire from the first kingdom. So three of the first horns were plucked up by the roots, so presumably Italy would be no more. Not sure who the other two that are at this point that he takes over. But then even his kingdom is taken away, and the Ancient of Days did sit. This is God the Father now. He's taken charge of the earth. And when we see these wheels, you can look in Ezekiel chapters 1 and 10 especially, where it talks about these wheels. The cherubim moved the throne of God around. So here the throne of God is coming to earth. A fiery stream issued and came forth from him. So if we compare this to Revelation 11, 17, and 18, let's just read that. This is when the kingdoms of the world become the kingdoms of God. In verse 17, we give thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art and wast and art to come. So this is when he actually does come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and has reigned. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldst give reward unto the servants, the prophets, and unto the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should destroy them which destroy the earth. So this is the time of God's judgment upon the earth. So the books were open. That's the time of the judgment. Judgment was set and the books were open. Verses 11 through 14, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season of time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So even when God the Father comes, this little horn, this little king that takes charge of these 10 nations, he's still speaking great things. He hasn't been destroyed yet. So if we look on this chart, the Antichrist has charged for 3.5 years, and he's killing Christians. Right here, God says, that's enough of that. I'm going to end all that. I'm going to stand up for the Christians, and now it's time for those that have killed God's people to face their end. And even at that time, before this last plague, this Antichrist is gathering the nations together to fight against God. So when he speaks great things, he's saying, I am God. And he convinces the people of the earth to actually fight against God. Verse 13, then Jesus comes down. God the Father is going to land on the Mount of Olives, and Jesus is actually going to come down to him. So whenever Jesus comes, he comes with the clouds at heaven, and every eye will see him. When God the Father is there, there's always an earthquake. So we saw in Revelation, there's voices and thunders and lightnings and an earthquake, or we see just the throne of God mentioned. At that time, there's an earthquake. So God the Father judges by making the mountains and the earth shake, and the people call when God comes to fall on them and hide them from the face of him that sits on the throne. And then when Jesus comes, it looks like he brings great hail. So 100-pound weight hail starts falling on the people. And Jesus is given a kingdom that won't pass away. That's when the millennial kingdom starts. So God the Father, he's a little bit early, comes down. He actually begins his reign right here at the end of that 70th week of Daniel, that 7-year period of trouble for the Jews in Israel. Turns out it's bad for the whole world. If God didn't stop it, everybody would be killed. God the Father takes over, and then he gives the kingdom to Jesus. So that's when the millennial kingdom starts. 1,000 years of Jesus on earth. Of course, his kingdom will then go to the new heaven and the new earth, and he will reign forever. Verse 12, I kind of skipped over that. For the rest of the beasts, they had their minion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season at a time. So all these other beasts, Babylon, the Medes and the Persians, Greece, that old Roman Empire, we remember them. They were around for a while. We still know Rome, Italy. We still know about the Roman Empire. All that's going to disappear. When Jesus comes to reign on the earth, he's the Son of Man that comes down. Everything's going to be forgotten. So this is going to be a new history. So these Gentile kingdoms, they're part of our history. We know about them. When Jesus comes, it's going to be a whole new world. He's going to make the time without sin. We're not going to remember war. We're going to do away with that kind of stuff for 1,000 years. Verses 15 through 18. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made known the interpretation of these things. These 4 great beasts, which are 4 kings that shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. Here, Daniel gets summarized, so he's not really sure what this dream was. And an angel or somebody tells him what happened. So that's a very quick summary verses in these last couple verses that talk about these 4 beasts and what they are, and well, the 4 kingdoms, but Jesus is going to reign. So that's what we need to know. So my wife's a pan-millennialist. She says it'll all pan out. She doesn't care. She knows at the end Jesus reigns. If that's all you want to know and care about, that's fine. Jesus wins at the end, and that's what it says here. 19 through 22. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were on its head, and of the other which came up, and before him 3 that spake three fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. The time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So this is the interpretation. It kind of goes over what we just told about. But Daniel's not a panmillennialist. He wants to know the details. So this 4th beast, what's going on with that? So this 4th beast has 2 different times. So it's different from all the rest of the kingdoms, because Babylon has one period of time, it came and went. The Medes and the Persians came and went. Kingdom of Greece, although it split up, it just came and went. But now Rome, it's around during Jesus' first coming, and it disappeared, and then it's going to come back. So Israel ceased from being a nation at 70 AD. In 1948, it came back as from the dead. Well, Rome is going to do the same thing. It was around, it was great and strong, it was nothing, but it's going to come back as a kingdom of 10 kings. That's going to be the new Roman Empire. And then after that, we're going to have an Antichrist, this little horn that comes up. It's going to be the new king of the north. So this Greece kingdom is a lot like Rome in that it's a split type thing. So Greece had power at one time during all this area, and then the kingdom of Seleucia is going to return, and it's going to take over this new Roman Empire. So this new Rome, headquartered in Rome, going to last for 3 years, or excuse me, 3.5 years. And then this little horn from Greece, well, Greece settled over in Seleucia, and that's where this power is going to be. And he's going to have power for 3.5 years. Then God the Father is going to come down, and he's going to stop this. And at the end of that 75 days, Jesus is going to reign on earth for 1,000 years. So when we look and see this little horn making war with the saints and prevailing against them, that's a scary thing. So just like the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego made up their minds ahead of time, we don't even have to think about it, King. We're not going to bow down to what you want us to worship, and they got thrown in the fire. Well, we got to have that mindset now, because this Antichrist is going to be able to kill saints. That's you and me. So in Revelation 12:15-17, we read the same type of thing. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away with the flood. This is a flood of armies. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of its mouth. So originally this Satan is after Israel, but the earth comes to the help of Israel. In verse 17 it says, the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. The Christianity grew out of Judaism, and we are the Christians that keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So Satan hates that. He's going to come after us and try and kill us. And many of us will die during that period of great tribulation, and some will even die after that when God takes his revenge out on them. Verse 23 through 25, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth. Again, kings or kingdoms, they're used interchangeably, whether you're talking about the beast as a king or the beast as a kingdom. He shall devour the whole earth and tread it down and break it in pieces. The 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Again, out of the Roman Empire, we're going to have these 10 nations. So that's a future time. When we talk about Rome, we got a past and a future. When these 10 kings are there, that's a future. And another king shall arise after them. That's that little horn. That's the Antichrist. And he shall be different from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Let's go down to 26 and 27. But judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom of the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey them. So this is the time of the judgment. We read about that a little bit earlier, and the Antichrist kingdom is going to be destroyed, and any kingdoms that ever were are going to be given unto Jesus. So he's coming to rule. That's that millennial rule, the 1,000 years of Jesus' reign. Verse 28 finishes the chapter. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations troubled me much, and my countenance changed in me. But I kept the matter in my heart. Daniel didn't know what it was talking about. So he's dreaming. He sees this huge dream, and there's an angel trying to explain it to him. And this is just scary stuff. So it scared him. Imagine it scaring you right now. Keep in mind, get your mind straight. It's only for 3.5 years, and then God will take over. So don't take that mark of the beast. Keep your mind set. You're not going to serve that king and do whatever he tells you to do. You're going to serve God and live forever.